Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're taking it nice and slow, crystal clear, to untangle one of the most famously frustrating knots in the entire English language. It's just a tiny shift in vocabulary, literally a single letter, but it completely changes the time and space of your whole sentence. We're talking about the ultimate grammar dilemma: have been versus had been.
So, have you been confused by this rule? Or had you been confused by this rule? Even asking the question sets a bit of a rhetorical trap, doesn't it? It perfectly highlights just how incredibly tricky this tiny verb change actually is. This is a huge, viral pain point for English learners and native speakers alike, basically causing people to just second-guess their own stories mid-sentence.
Look, if you feel like you're always stumbling over this, you are absolutely not alone. Gabby Wallace, who's a super experienced ESL teacher from Go Natural English, notes that she gets this exact question all the time from students all over the world. So today, we're taking a page out of her book. We're completely skipping the vague, confusing grammar jargon. No heavy textbooks today. Instead, we're going to look at a real, practical, everyday scenario.
Section 1. The Shopping Mall Dilemma.
Okay, let's dive right in. Instead of dry textbook rules, let's look at an actual conversation Gabby had with one of her Japanese ESL students. It's a really simple story about going shopping, but it holds the absolute key to mastering this rule forever. Let's walk slowly through this student's physical journey. So, years ago, this student was living in Japan, and while there, she knew all about the popular American store, Victoria's Secret. She'd seen the ads, she was familiar with the brand. Fast forward some months ago, and she officially moved to the United States. And finally, just last weekend, she went to her local mall and physically walked into a Victoria's Secret store for the very first time.
Section 2. Option 1 or Option 2.
Now, this timeline creates a totally fascinating grammatical fork in the road when the student actually tries to tell her story. She wants to explain that before moving, she knew the brand, but just hadn't visited the physical store. So she starts her sentence, "Before I went to the US, I knew about Victoria's Secret." But how does she finish it? Does she use option 1, but I had never been there? Or does she go with option 2, but I have never been there? Take a second, guess which one correctly describes this student's past trip to the mall. And keep in mind, she literally just went to the store last weekend.
Well, if you guessed the first one, you absolutely nailed it. Option 1 is correct. The right sentence is, before I went to the US, I knew about Victoria's Secret, but I had never been there. That specific chronological story absolutely demands the word had. But why? Why does that single letter change make all the difference in the world?
Section 3. Visualizing the timelines.
Let's visualize exactly why option 1 is the winner based on these spatial anchors of time. When we speak, we're constantly dropping little pins on a mental timeline. Trace these steps with me. Step 1. She had knowledge of the store while in Japan. Step 2. She came to the US. And step 3. She finally visited the store. The entire state of her having never been there happened totally before step 2. It was a reality that existed in Japan, but that reality completely ended the very moment she finally walked into the mall last weekend.
So the crucial point here is how we define had been, which, grammar books like to call the past perfect. But we're not going to use confusing terms today. We can simply define it as a finished state in the past past. You use had been when you're talking about something that happened in the past, but you need to reference something that happened even further back. The student moving to the US was in the past, but her state of having never visited the store was in the past past. And honestly, the most important part, that state is finished. Over. Done.
Now, contrast this with have been, or the present perfect. This describes a state that continues right into the present moment. Think about how completely different the story becomes if the student used this option instead. If she said, but I have never been there, she's literally telling you that right up to this very second as she's speaking to you, she has still never stepped foot in that store. That directly contradicts the fact that she just went to the mall last weekend. Have carries the action all the way to right now.
Section 4. The Golden Rule.
Let's summarize this timeline logic into a concrete visual rule that you can effortlessly use every single time you speak or write. No more second guessing, just a perfectly clear dividing line. Think about the stark contrast here. Had been equals ended. Have been equals continues to the present. One is a closed box sitting safely in the past. The other is like an open road that stretches right up to right now. If the situation you're describing is still true today, you reach for have. But if it was only true before another event happened, you reach for had.
To make it even easier, take a mental snapshot of this quick checklist. You can confidently deploy had been when
First, you're already talking about a past event. Second, you're referring to something even further back, making a jump into that past. And third, that state or condition is completely finished. If you check those 3 boxes, you can say had been with total confidence.
Section 5. Minute by minute.
I know it's incredibly easy to feel overwhelmed when literally one letter changes the entire timeline of your story. But I really love this deeply encouraging advice Gabby offers her students. She says, little by little, minute by minute. In the long run, day after day, you're going to learn a lot. Mastering these rules just doesn't happen overnight. You don't just wake up one day with a perfect mental timeline. It happens incrementally. It happens by watching a short explainer just like this, understanding one core concept, and then applying it day after day.
So, let's apply it right now. I want to leave you with this final provocative challenge. Think about your own mental timeline for a second. What is something you had never done before your last vacation? Formulate that sentence in your head right now using the past rule we just learned. Lock in that knowledge and take it with you into your very next conversation.